Hi, Sarah Pacaro. Today's video is going to be about how to avoid covert manipulation and control. And yeah, just raising your awareness of the different types of covert manipulation and control. They're very different than overt, but this video is just going to be to raise your awareness, have you become more in tune with when it's happening, how it's happening, and then what to do about it. So, how to avoid covert manipulation and control. Remember, if you like this video, to click like, comment, subscribe, share, all of those fun things. And if you were interested in learning more about rapid transformational therapy and hypnosis to help you break free from these cycles after watching this video and seeing this and healing from within, then I'd love to connect and talk more about that. But let's get into it. Covert manipulation. Covert manipulation can be a part of a cycle of abuse inside a dysfunctional relationship. And this behavior, just want to make clear, is not limited to romantic partnerships. That's often where it shows up most because those are the people that you're the most intimate with, the closest with. But it can happen in any relationship when one person seeks to get their needs met through coercive or deceptive methods of control. So we're going to go over those today because over time, covert manipulation, it damages your self-esteem. It damages your trust for yourself, your self-trust. I get clients all the time that say, I just can't trust anymore. It's like I don't even trust myself. And it significantly damages your self-worth and sense of self. Notice all those started with self. If you're always walking around feeling guilty, feeling like you're not good enough, or second guessing yourself, it might be time to take a closer look at your relationships. Or if you're a person who has perfectionist tendencies, people pleasing tendencies, codependent or empathetic tendencies, if you call yourself an empath or codependent, then it's time to take a look at these. You might be more vulnerable to believing someone else's lies about you and or your behavior, right? And then that's what they are. They're faulty perceptions about you, and they're projected onto you from this other person. But you may start to believe those lies about you and your behavior because covert manipulation tactics are really sneaky. They're like really stealth. They're like a stealth bomber that flies in under the radar, undetected, really quiet, and then right? So when you raise your awareness, it's so much easier to not get caught up in this painful, heartbreaking cycle. And that's what I hope this video does for you, is help you raise your awareness on these covert manipulation tactics. So we're going to go over those most common tactics today so that you can easily, quickly spot them and understand what's really going on, and then make a conscious choice to no longer engage in this painful dynamic and get stuck in this bond. Because subconsciously, there are things going on under the surface in our own selves and our own minds that keep us connected in these patterns and these types of relationships. But this video is more to help you at a conscious level, to make a conscious choice to no longer engage in that painful dynamic or dance and see what's going on. So if you're interested in more of the subconscious work, let's connect. We'll talk about hypnosis, rapid transformational therapy. But moving forward, when we're covertly being manipulated, we get that feeling, that sensation, that knowing, like that inner knowing that something is off, but you might not be able to name it. And you get this feeling. I got this feeling all the time, and I still get it, not as often. I'm not in an emotionally abusive relationship anymore. But when I had this feeling constantly. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. And I was always asking, why am I so angry? I'm naturally a happy, bubbly person, but I was always angry. I was always unhappy. And I was doing crazy things like threatening to move all this stuff out, burn it in a bonfire in my front lawn, like slashing tires. I mean, I was doing crazy things. That's not me, but I was doing these things and I was like, what is happening? Why am I so angry? Like, just not an angry person, but I became one because of this covert abuse that I was experiencing. And manipulators, they will purposely mask their own aggressive or dominating intent with psychological and an emotional slave hand. That's just what they do. What do they want, right? And you may find yourself asking the abuser that question, what do you want from me? So whether it's covert or overt, what they want is to avoid being confronted for their bad behavior. Their tactics are designed to make you doubt your perceptions. They don't want to take responsibility for anything. If they're getting their needs met, they don't want things to change. I mean, it feels good to get your needs met. So if you're getting them met, why would you want anything to change? And they're getting their needs met by using these covert abusive manipulation tactics. And they don't want to take responsibility for anything. They're getting off the hook all the time. And they're getting away with whatever it is that they want and how they treat you. So if you're a victim of this cycle of abuse and manipulation, I imagine you're overwhelmed and you're tired, you can't take it anymore. It's exhausting and it's significantly detrimental to your overall wellness. You may notice your physical health showing signs, and you're going to doctors and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with you, because emotional health is linked to physical health, and it's detrimental just to your overall wellness. So covert manipulation and controlling behaviors are not always easy to recognize because they present in a variety of ways. So raising your awareness is the first step to being free, breaking free. So reading to learn the most common behaviors and patterns of covert manipulators is the first step. So we're going to go over those today. The first one you'll notice that is most often presented is complaining. And complaining can be really subtle. Uh, and we all kind of can complain, now and then from time to time. But if there's a pattern of complaining in ways that leaves you feeling guilty for not meeting that person's needs, that is something to pay attention to. If you're someone who often feels overly responsible for other people's feelings or the outcomes, you might feel compelled to take action. If someone is complaining to you about something, they complain, you go try to fix it. So it's almost like you're a little puppet. And they may be using that to their advantage. They complain, you do. They complain, you do. And it avoids them having to do. So if you notice someone constantly complaining, it's a covert abusive tactic, a manipulation tactic to get you to do and to avoid them having to do. So if you see and feel a lot of complaining in a relationship, that's a sign. The next sign is flattery. We all like to be praised and complimented, but you may be someone who can't let compliments in, and that's an even deeper, more subconscious thing. But flattery is a very covert manipulation tactic. So be aware of someone who's trying to butter you up. And you'll notice they butter you up and they say all these, you're so beautiful, you're amazing, I just love you. And then boom, they make their next request. So even if it's someone that you don't know all that well, if someone you don't know well, like say it's at work, is over complimenting or flattering you, you're going, oh, but that could be a red flag, because then it's going to be met and followed by a request for you to do something again for them to avoid doing it. So take note, flattery is a really covert way to manipulate. If there's someone in your life who always compliments you and then asks for something in a way that implies that you owe them in some way, well, really, you're not going to do that after how nice I just was to you, after the compliments or what I just said or did for you. So flattery is a really covert way to manipulate and abuse. So be aware of too much flattery. Nice compliments, but overly buttering you up. The next one is blaming. You want to watch out for blaming. And this can look like someone blaming you for the way that they are feeling or for what they did, and then suggesting corrective action that you need to take to help them feel better or give them what they want. So you'll find that they blame you. And then they can tell you, well, just to make it better, you can just do this, this, or this. And then again, you go do that. They don't have to do anything. So they're blaming you for the way that they're feeling or what they did. And you're thinking, what? And you may even notice yourself apologizing and saying sorry, even though you didn't do anything wrong. And this, you need to know, this can be challenging. Uh, because you get stuck in the cycle, but you are not responsible for someone else's feelings. You are not responsible for someone else's behaviors. And this can be challenging to break out of this pattern of blame. But remember, the other person is responsible for staying in their lane, and you are responsible for staying in your lane. But what is happening is they're coming into your lane, and then they're saying, well, it's your fault I came into your lane. No, no. You're responsible for staying in your lane. They're responsible for staying in theirs. So remember, blaming is a really covert manipulative tactic. So if you're always being blamed for stuff, just take note of that. That's a red flag. And then lying. Lying can look like the other person remembering everything from the past. Every past argument they remember and they bring up in conversation. And when that happens, most likely you're going to hear things like, I never said that. Well, that's a lie. And you know that because you know that they said it. Or that's not what happened. Well, that's a lie because it is what happened. That's called gaslighting. And gaslighting is one of the most dangerous manipulation tactics. And when you're being gaslit or hearing phrases like, I never said that, that's not what happened, I didn't do that, you remember that wrong, that is where the other person is trying to get you to deny your reality, to second guess what happened and make you think that it was actually you. So lying can be overt lying in your face, or it can be half truths. It can be sprinkled in with, well, yeah, that did happen, but I don't ever remember that happening too. So sometimes they mix in and sprinkle a little bit of truths on the lies, but that's just half truths. It's still a lie. The next thing you'll want to watch out for is bribery. So if you're being lied to, clearly that's manipulation. If you're being gaslit or hearing phrases like that, they get you to deny your reality, manipulation tactic. And then bribery. Bribery is a very covert method to exert control by offering a reward or threatening withdrawal of a reward for your compliance. So this happens in family systems all the time, especially with adult children. I mean, it happened this morning with my young child. I bribed her into giving her some chocolate if she would just put on her socks. She didn't want to put on her socks. It became this big thing. So I said, when you get home after dinner, you can have a piece of chocolate. If you just put on your socks, we need to go. But we all bribe, but a lot of times it happens with adult children who have family members who are offering them financial support. This happened to me when I was going to college, and it was, Sarah, if you go to an in-state college, we'll help pay for your tuition. If you go to an out-of-state college, you're on your own. So a lot of times you see this in adult children with family members who are offering financial support, but it always comes with conditions, like they have to choose the right career. Maybe in a family of lawyers, if you become a lawyer, we'll pay for your college. Or, whatever it is. Money is never just money when it comes to family dynamics and relationships. If the support is conditional and you feel like in order to receive that support, you need to fall in line. And if that's what's happening, you're feeling you're being bribed, spend some time thinking about the emotional cost, the physiological cost on you. It can cause a lot of stress, a lot of guilt, a lot of heaviness, a lot of feeling that you have to do something or something's going to be taken away from you. I mean, how can you ever be truly happy if your well-being is based upon complying with what someone else expects you to do with your life? Then you feel like you never have control over your life. And this continues and perpetuates the cycle of emotionally abusive relationships. So if you're being bribed for things, watch out. I got bribed for, talked into and bribed into staying at home after I had my daughter. I wanted to go back to work because I liked the connection with other adults. And I liked the people that I worked with. I didn't like the job, but I liked the people. And I liked that sense of, earning my own money and that connection. But I was bribed into staying at home and told, you don't need to worry about anything. I'll take care of it. I'll pay for everything. Yet I still had to pay for things. And then when it hit the fan, through the courts, we had a big mess when it came to the finances. So I just watch out. Bribing is a very covert form of manipulation. Another one is self-blame. So be mindful of someone who is always blaming themselves, who's using self-deprecation and self-blame to manipulate your feelings. And this can sound like this person saying things to you, right? When you're having conversation like, I'm such an idiot, or I'm such a horrible person. I don't even know why you're with me. And they do this, they say these things, they use these phrases to get you to forgive them for bad behavior without having to take responsibility. Again, you can see this. If they say, I'm such an idiot, I'm such a terrible person, you go, no, come on, no, you're not. You're human. We all do this. And then they don't have to take responsibility for their behavior. Someone who's really successful at covert manipulation always seems to know the right buttons to push, exactly where they're at, how hard to push them. And they're highly, highly, highly skilled. They've studied you. They know where your buttons are. And if you're someone who carries around excessive guilt, or you're an empath, or you're a highly sensitive person, you don't want anyone to feel bad about themselves, right? I imagine you're nodding your head. Yeah, yeah. So don't let your generous heart, your loving heart, your caring soul get taken advantage of by someone whose default setting is to fake this self-blame to get you to do what they want you to do. That's manipulation. It's covert manipulation when they blame themselves and put themselves down. And then passive aggressiveness. And again, you might feel like, whoa, I'm the toxic person because I do this. I did that this morning when my daughter went and put her socks on and I had to bribe her. I rolled my eyes. Passive aggressiveness is sarcasm. It's slamming doors, and you don't even have to say anything, but that slamming of the door says everything for you. It says that you're angry, eye rolling, right? That sound. Passive aggressiveness is another form of undercover manipulative behavior, and it can look like those things. And if someone is acting out in a passive aggressive way, they're not speaking, they're not communicating their thoughts or their feelings or their intentions clearly or directly. So watch out for those covert manipulative tactics, and they all lead to blame, shame, and guilt. And if there is someone in your life who's blaming you, and then questioning the kind of person you are, leaving you feeling guilty, wondering if you're broken in some kind of way, pay attention. Keep an eye out for those relationships in your life that regularly produce feelings of blame, shame, or guilt. This morning, in that example I shared with my daughter, yeah, there were some feelings of that, but I don't intentionally or regularly produce those feelings. And then when I do, I own it and I apologize. But you want to look out for those relationships that regularly produce those types of feelings, and understand that in healthy relationships, whether it's through family memberships, in intimate relationships, friendships, these elements of manipulation and control are not present more often than not. They may be present every now and then because we're all human, but they're not present more often than not. So this hopefully allows you to help you raise your awareness of yourself and others so that you can be present in your life and be aware of what's going on. And if you feel that this is where you're at and you're seeing these people, these relationships in your life where the covert abuse is present, then it is something going on subconsciously within you. These are conscious things to be aware of in your relationships, but then you got to take a look at yourself and go, why? What is it within me that is allowing, myself to take the blame or dismiss this passive aggressive behavior, or who's always, doing way more for others than I ever do for myself, because that's what keeps you stuck in that cycle. If that's you, I would love to connect and talk more about working together one-on-one through hypnosis, through rapid transformational therapy, to get into that subconscious inner powerful part of your mind and break free. And using this conscious awareness matched with the reprogramming of the unconscious or subconscious really is the most powerful way to break free and change. So I'd love to talk to you more about how to rewrite your life and do just that. So remember to click on the link in the description below this video to connect and talk more about working together one-on-one.